Welcome friends to another r/am I the jerk video. Would you be the jerk for outing your dad to your entire family? We'll find out, but first, a story from private or public. Am I the jerk for not allowing my child to go to private school? I'm male 35, my girlfriend, female 32, and I just moved from California to New England, her hometown, and my daughter Veronica is about to start school. We got together 6 years ago and had plans of getting married, but this ultimately fell through because I refused to sign a prenup, which her and her parents wanted. I thought that she'll let it go with time, but she didn't. So we've never gotten married and never combined finances, and she does make significantly more than I do, but I still pay part of the bills. Catherine and I have been having some issues for a while, and at this point we're pretty much just living together for the sake of our daughter. Like housemates, we don't argue and both know that when she's older, we'll split for good. Our little girl's about to start school, and since we moved, we had to pick a new school. I just figured that she'll go to a normal public school that's closest, but it seems that my wife had a different idea. I will add that Veronica is a very bright little girl. She reads already, and my wife insisted that we have a bilingual nanny, so Veronica can be raised multilingual like my wife was. No issues there. We went to tour the school, and I was shocked. It was a private school, uniforms and all that. I didn't want my little girl to go there for many reasons, some of which are A, I can't afford it, but Catherine said that she'd pay for it, and it's the same school she'd gone to and it's fantastic. B, I don't want my child to become snobby surrounded by all the rich kids. Catherine said that if I hadn't noticed, Veronica is one of the rich kids, but it's on us to make sure she's not snobby. She told me that the school has amazing teachers and she'd hate for Veronica's progress to be slowed down because public schools can't focus on individual kids. She said that school is overall safer. She's been hyper-focusing on school safety because of what's been happening in schools, and she says that there's a lot lower chance of something like this happening in private schools based on stats. I try to argue that it's elitist to assume all public schools are dangerous, and she said that she never said that and she just wants what's best for our daughter. I said I won't allow Veronica to go to private school and she'll go to public school. Suddenly, Catherine's demeanor changed. She told me that if I wanted to be an involved father, I should have thought about this before. I admit, I allowed Catherine to handle everything education and nanny related, and I had no say, and she won't allow me to sabotage our daughter's education. I tried to argue more, but she left the room and has been ignoring me ever since. I tried to bring the subject up again, but she said it's done and the school fees are already paid. I saw my family the other day and told them what happened. My brother agreed with me, but my sister told me I was in the wrong and the jerk. Since I like to read here, I thought I'd ask you guys, am I the jerk for not wanting my daughter to go to private school? Personally, I think OP is the jerk here because the A bullet point where OP says they can't pay for it, their partner who makes significantly more said they would pay for it, so that argument alone is already invalid. And then B, OP's worry is that they'll become snobby surrounded by all the rich kids. Well, I agree with OP that upbringing is what actually spurs a child to act a certain way. And I don't think that's a valid excuse to withhold them from going to a more beneficial private school experience. OP's been with Catherine this entire time, and they went through the exact same system when they were a kid, so clearly it doesn't just generate total snobby jerks. Would you guys agree that OP's definitely overthinking this and is the jerk here? Let me know in the comments. Our next story is from Actual Count 694. Am I the jerk for taking my son's scholarship money? My son's going to an expensive school next year, and I'm financially nervous about it. It's close to $16,000 a year after aid. All of a sudden, I'm worried about providing for my younger sons. I'm a single dad, now that I have this financial monkey on my back. A few weeks before my son graduated, his class had an assembly where they gave out scholarship money. The money was raised from foundations or groups like Rotary. My son won 2 awards, totaling $10,000. The problem was that we thought we were on the same page regarding the money. I said it was going to be used for school and he agreed. What I meant was that it was going to be used to pay me back since I already paid for his school, and he meant that he thought he would go to college with $10,000 to spend as he sees fit. Of course, he's saying that it's his money and I'm saying it's not. It's for college, and since I paid for it, it goes to pay me back. I would have factored that money into everything if I'd known he was getting it. I told him I'm not freaking around, and all I have to do is tell the teacher who's in charge of distributing the money to send the check in my name. He will do it. Of course, I'd rather have my son see it my way before having to override him like he's 11. I think OP is definitely the jerk in this situation because initially everything was just gonna try to be managed as best as possible, and now all of a sudden that the son locked into $10,000 from scholarships, the dad wants to take it all for himself and pay him back for all that money he's spending. OP even adds in a clarification at the end saying he didn't earn squat, it was more of a popularity contest. I think this $10,000 is just bringing the absolute worst and truth out of OP. The fact of the matter is they see $10,000 sitting there and they want it for themselves. Whether that means prying it from their kids' hands, who, popularity contest or not, won the money themselves. If anything, I think OP should be more concerned whether or not they're going to permanently ruin their relationship with their own son. This next story is from GWBBA. Am I the jerk for not wanting strangers in the background of my wedding pics? I, 24-year-old female, recently had my wedding on the beach of a beautiful hotel in Cancun. Many of my friends and family could go, so I was very happy. The only problem was, during our ceremony, there were people on the sea playing or doing jet ski activities. It really bothered me because they would appear in the background, so I told my wedding planner about it. She was very understanding and said she would fix it. When she talked to the owners of the activities and to the people in that area of the sea, we expected them to be kind and nice, but they just declined and continued. I even took the time to go myself and ask them to stop, but they didn't care. I was about to go and tell someone from the hotel, but my now husband stopped me and said it would be a jerk thing to do. I told him standing up for myself wasn't a jerk thing to do and went looking for the hotel staff, but they said there was nothing they could do. When I returned, my husband was moody, and I wonder if it was really a jerk thing to do. Am I the jerk? Now, normally I'm of the opinion that when you're having a wedding somewhere, you have the full right to have it exactly how you want it. But if you're having any of your wedding in a public place like a beach in Cancun, and you haven't specifically rented out the whole beach to yourself, you have literally next to no right asking any of these people to move. If they move, that's nice of them, but they don't have to do that. By the way, if you're enjoying these stories, make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons down below so you never miss any of my daily videos. Our next story is from Psychist8. Am I the jerk for feeding my nephew pork against my ex-sister-in-law's wishes? My brother and his ex-wife divorced 3 years ago. They have a 10-year-old son. They have joint custody. My nephew usually spends some time at our place every week. This is his dad's time. His mother is religious and does not eat pork, which is her choice. Their divorce decree also says she's responsible for religious matters. Again, not really my concern. When it comes to food, my nephew eats the same food that the rest of the family eats. He's of course free to not eat what he doesn't want to eat. We're not telling him he must eat pork. But if we're eating pork and he wants to eat it too, we don't stop him. If he asks me to make something different, I do that, but he always just eats the same food as everyone else. So my ex-sister-in-law called me yesterday and told me to stop feeding him pork. I told her that he eats whatever he wants. I'm not gonna enforce her eating guidelines on my nephew. Also, not really my problem. She should talk to her ex-husband if she has any concerns. I checked with my brother and she had already tried to talk to him and he told her to piss off. Apparently what happened was that my nephew asked his mom to make pork ribs because he ate them here and loved it, and that caused all of this. My husband says that I could be more cooperative if I wanted to, only to keep the peace. I don't see how I should inconvenience myself to enforce someone else's religious eating restrictions on her son, especially when the kid loves the food anyway and his dad doesn't mind. Am I the jerk for not being respectful of her wishes? I'm gonna say OP is the jerk only because the one request here is not eating pork, right? Even if the dad doesn't really care and it is the dad's time, the mom clearly cares a lot. And if they're there every week, a day or a couple days, I don't think it's very hard to not eat pork for dinner 1 or 2 days out of the week. It's a simple enough request, and leaving it up to the 10-year-old to pick and choose what they want to eat, they're a 10-year-old kid. Our next story is from Balcony Angle 5676. Am I the jerk for using my husband's car to get to work after he tricked me into going to his family's barbecue party? I, female 33, am a nurse. I have a very, very busy schedule. It's been absolutely crazy the past couple of years. My husband, male 36, works an office job, and because he's a family-oriented type of guy, he always hangs out with his family. His family lives on a ranch in the middle of literally nowhere. It's a hassle to go there, and due to my work nature, I don't go to most of their functions. I do, however, make sure to attend the big ones. Last week, his family wanted to host a barbecue party. He wanted me to go with him so badly since all his brothers were bringing their wives, and since they mocked him for coming alone in the past. I said sorry, but I had a shift to cover. He begged, suggested I swap shifts with other nurses who are my friends, and even called them all to beg them to cover for me. I grew irritated and told him to stop it. He sulked for a whole day, then dropped it. In the morning and the hours before my shift, I noticed that my car's tires were out of air. My husband offered to drive me to the hospital at 4 p.m., and I agreed. I got ready and we got in the car, but instead of taking me to the hospital, he drove me straight to his family's ranch. I was dumbfounded and angry after he said he tricked me into attending this barbecue and that I had to suck it up and set this shift out. I was so mad I didn't know what to say. We got to the ranch and I sat outside fuming. I waited and saw I still had time to make it to the hospital if I figured out a way to get there. I watched my husband go inside, leaving his keychain next to me right where he was sitting. I took it and rushed to the back where all the cars were parked, got into the car, and drove off. His dad saw me and told him. He started calling my phone relentlessly till I turned it off. I got to the hospital in time, but didn't dare turn my phone back on till it was past 8 p.m. I opened it and saw tons of angry messages from him berating me, calling me horrible and a manipulator. I got on the phone with him, and he yelled about the awful stunt I pulled and bailing from the party and making him look bad in front of his family. He then calmed down and said that he now knows that work is more important to me and that he won't ever trust me after I basically stole his car and ran with it. We've been on terrible terms since then. His family are also mad, but I haven't spoken to them about it yet, nor calcified anything. Am I the jerk for what I did? I was desperate and worried that missing my shift might cost me my job. If this isn't the pot calling the kettle black. As much as they want to say OP is horrible and a manipulator, it's like right back at them. You literally, essentially, in a way, kidnapped OP. I think if OP doesn't stand their ground and give the same level of attitude back to them, then OP's doing themselves a real disservice, and I think they're definitely not the jerk. Not to mention, he clearly messed with OP's tires. So who's the real horrible manipulator here? Our next story is from Emily Patterson 099. Am I the jerk for taking the cake I baked for my fiance's birthday and going home? Me, female 25, and my fiance, Ben, male 31's mom, don't have the best relationship. I try my best to be polite around her, but she's the type that have high standards and expectations of whoever dates her sons. She has 3. She's commented on my hair and body several times and at some point suggested cosmetic surgeries for the future. This upsets me, but Ben tells me this is who she is and I need to learn to have a thick skin, since oftentimes she doesn't really mean to be malicious. Anyways, I'm known for baking cakes and sweets. Ben eats whatever I make, but whenever I bring something to his family, they try and find every excuse in the world not to eat it. I'm okay with that and I stopped doing it. For Ben's 31st birthday, his mom wanted to host the party. I decided to bake him a birthday cake and he was thrilled with it. I went grocery shopping, took time off work, and put so much effort into making it how he likes it. I took it with me to his mom's house, and to my surprise, when I walked in, I saw a large birthday cake sitting at the dining table. I was puzzled. Future mother-in-law said she requested this cake from the bakery and paid so and so much money for it. I asked, "What about the cake I've made?" She responded, "Oh, you can place it on the counter over there and we'll let the kids have it." This felt like ice was dropped all over me. I looked at Ben and he nodded at me in a just do it way. I was so mad and the cake was still in my hands at the time. I turned around and made my way to the door. His mom remained standing, but Ben followed me asking me where I was going. I told him that he didn't need my cake, and by extension me, since my efforts were so easily dismissed and disrespected. He said I was overreacting and that his mom paid so much for that cake and it was only fair that he accept it. He begged me to get back inside and do him this favor by basically just going with the flow. But I decided to go home. He got mad and started saying that I was being unreasonable and stirring drama over nothing. I went home and he didn't get back till 11 p.m. He was so upset. He said he and his family didn't appreciate the childish behavior I displayed and ruining his party and disrespecting his mom like that. Said I turned this into a huge deal and should have acted more maturely instead of walking out with the cake. Am I the jerk for taking the cake and walking out? I think OP is definitely not the jerk here, and as much as OP's fiance wants to say that OP's in the wrong for disrespecting their mom disrespected OP from the start if they knew that OP was going out of their way to make a cake themselves and went and got their own cake anyways. This fiance is such a mama's boy that, God forbid if it ever got to the wedding day, OP might just not need to show up. It sounds to me like Ben's mom might just go out and buy the fanciest wedding dress she can find so she can marry her own son instead. I can picture it now. OP, the mom in the middle, and then Ben on the other side. Ben's leaning over to the side and looking at OP with a just do it face. To me, that's how much of a mama's boy Ben comes off as. Our next story is from QQSS. Would I be the jerk if my spouse and I just had appetizers for our wedding guests, but a full roast chicken for ourselves at the wedding? We're trying to save money where possible for the wedding ceremony and are using Publix for the catering. My wife thinks the guests will be okay just eating finger foods such as fruit and vegetable trays, assorted cheeses, wings, chicken tenders, but she knows she'll be hungry and won't be satisfied with just those. She wants just her and I to also have a roast chicken at the table. I think some sides too. I think it would be incredibly rude to have an openly much better meal than our guests would have. Us tearing apart a full bird while they munch on tenders? Conversely, I'd be fine with just the appetizers for everyone, us included. The cost for every table to get a roast chicken would put us at like $30 a plate according to her, and that's not saving money. With every decision we make, she justifies them by going, "It's our wedding, it's ours, not anybody else's." She didn't want to have a wide variety of options to cater to others either. She only wanted stuff she'd like. I think we'd be total jerks to go through with her idea. Thoughts? I think you would definitely be the jerk in this situation. Just imagine the optics of everybody else kind of sitting around, eating like a piece of watermelon, a cantaloupe, and a couple wings, while the bride and groom are tearing apart a full roast chicken. I'm all for saving money where you can as far as weddings go, but I think one of the lowest common denominators is feed the guests that show up. This next story is from Efficient Tomato 526. Am I the jerk for exposing my dad to the family after he tried to portray my brother as a bad father and son? My siblings, 24-year-old male, 22-year-old female, and I, 26-year-old male, were raised by a single dad, 45-year-old male. Our dad was great. He was loving and caring and always put us first. Because of this, we never missed our deadbeat mom. My dad even sacrificed his love life though. He never dated anyone. My brother, 24-year-old male, disowned our dad around 3 years ago, for a reason I'd also disown him for, to be honest. My brother found our dad and his then girlfriend, 27 now, doing it. Thus, my brother got mad at my dad and cut him off, moved out of the house, and went to live with some friends. No matter how hard my dad has tried to apologize and reach out to him, my brother ignores him. My dad has suffered a lot because of this and has gotten mad at us many times since my sister and I know where my brother lives. We visited him a couple of times and he demands we let him know, but we can't because my brother threatens that if we'll ever tell him, he'll go no contact with us. The thing is that the woman got pregnant with twins, but she didn't feel like being a mom, so she left them to my dad. My dad tells everyone that he's raising his grandkids. He swears they're my brother's, but I'm sure they are his since my brother says he used protection. The kids turned 2, they're both male, a couple of days ago, and he hosted a small party. So my uncle started asking about my brother as the kid's father, since no one in the family knew what happened. My dad started talking crap about my brother, saying he was an ungrateful son and a terrible father for leaving 2 kids behind. I think my dad's angry at my brother for not forgiving him, as everyone in the family sees my dad as an example for the sacrifices he did. They started talking crap about my brother. I love my dad with my whole heart, and I would do anything for that man. I know all my siblings would. But he tried to portray my brother as a bad guy, and I love my brother, so I told him, he wouldn't have disowned you if you hadn't screwed his girlfriend and got her pregnant. Everyone looked at him, and he tried to excuse his actions, but everyone told him to screw off. They've called my brother to apologize, but my dad's angry at me. He says this is a family matter and I should have kept my mouth shut. My wife says I did the right thing, but my sister's on my dad's side. So, am I the jerk? As painful as it is to kind of ruin or interfere with that relationship OP had with their dad, I think OP is not the jerk for standing up for somebody who's getting unjustly slandered. And the dad says this is a family matter. Aren't the uncles and the rest of the extended family still family? Don't they deserve to know the truth about these still related 2-year-old twins? Especially considering that up to this point, their whole existence was based upon a lie the dad was fabricating. To me, I think this dad built a very clear house of cards, and they don't have anybody to blame as much as they want to when it all came tumbling down. This next story is from Neverending Feelings. Am I the jerk for wanting my husband to cancel his trip he'd been planning for 4 years? My husband, 27, had been planning a trip for about 4 years with some close friends. The trip kept being postponed due to some of his friends having family deaths, financial issues, and unfortunate world events. My husband is gonna finally be able to leave within 2 months. The issue I, 21, have with that is I'm pregnant and he's leaving near my due date. This is my first child and I don't want to go through childbirth alone. I don't have family other than my husband. My dad's died and my mom's mentally ill. I just want to support throughout the process. But he's making me feel really bad for asking him to postpone the trip so he can be here for his daughter and I. He told me that it's honestly not that big of a deal. He said that when he was at the hospital for his son from a previous relationship, that the birth only took an hour and that the nurse were very supportive. I also don't want to care for his son after I come home from the hospital alone. He plans on being away for a month and has sole custody. His son goes to his mom's every other weekend, but that's all. Sometimes his mom won't even show up. He hasn't made any plans on where his son's gonna go after I come home from the hospital. His sister agreed to take him while I'm in the hospital, but she can't do it any longer as she has a full-time job and doesn't want to take too much time off work. He told me I'll be able to handle everything by myself and begged me to drop the issue because he'd been planning this for so long and he's really excited to go. He even offered to pay me for all the hardships and told me women take care of children after coming home from the hospital all the time. I do understand that this wasn't exactly planned, and I feel awful about the whole situation. A huge part of me just wants to drop the issue and find a way to deal with everything by myself. I mean, his friends are calling me a wet blanket. I don't want to be a wet blanket and spoil everyone's fun. Am I the jerk here? OP is definitely not the jerk, and I think if they allow them to just go on that trip and they try to manage everything all themselves, they're gonna regret it for the rest of that relationship. The moment you make that concession that they can just walk all over you like that, I think it's over. The next time another situation like this comes up, I think OP will find it even harder to go against them, and there will be even more of an expectation from the husband for them to make that concession. The bottom line to me is I think if you're having a kid, you have to understand that you're gonna just have to give up some stuff. Because as much as you want this trip and you've been planning for this trip for all those years, you've got a kid to take care of. And not just a kid, but your wife too. Our next story is from Chiaza. Am I the jerk for not wanting my girlfriend to go on vacation with her friends? My girlfriend and I, both 22, have been together about a year. In that time, neither of us have gone on vacation with our friends, and we haven't really met each other's friends. We live together and have a dog that she already had before we got together. Her and her friends were planning on going on vacation, but decided that they weren't due to funds, and not being able to find a time that would work for them all. I'm going back to my hometown to visit my parents next week, which we've known for months now. Our dog was going to stay with her at ours because my parents don't like dogs. A few days ago, she came home from her friend's house super excited about something and told me that her and her friends had spontaneously booked a vacation for next week. It was cheap and they all managed to get it off work somehow. I asked her if she forgot about my plans and she said no and that I'll just have to bring the dog with me. I said no, she's not my dog and my parents won't want her to come, which started an argument. I ended up saying it was completely inconsiderate of her to book the vacation without asking me and that if she had any sort of sense, she'd cancel it. She told me that she can't do that without losing all the money and that she shouldn't have to ask for permission to go on a trip with her friends. She left last night in a massive strop and went and stayed with her friend. My friends have said that I'm a jerk for the way I handled it, but I just don't think I am. Am I the jerk? I think OP's not the jerk here. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say at 22, I'm assuming the girlfriend still isn't the most mature, because anybody who's in a committed relationship that have been living together, for one to go on their own and make their own decision to go on a trip without ever confronting the other person, especially when they've got a dog to take care of and watch, it's just unbelievably short-sighted. I definitely wouldn't put OP in the jerk column. Our next story is from Throwaway93. Am I the jerk for only buying ice cream for one of the kids I was babysitting? We went to a park with my extended family. I'm female 17. My sister, female 4, asked me to take her to the playground, which was far away from where we were sitting. I decided to take her, but as we wanted to leave, all my aunts and uncles started to ask me to take their kids as well, which would be about 7 kids in total, with the youngest being my sister and the oldest being 9 years old. I told them I don't want to look after that many kids, but they assured me that I have no responsibility other than taking them there and staying with them to make sure they don't get lost. I took them and everything was fine until my sister asked me for an ice cream. I didn't have enough money to buy for everyone, so I bought 2 for me and her. The other kids asked me for an ice cream, but I told them I can't buy it and told them to just keep playing and their parents will buy it for them when we get back. After we went back, they started complaining to their parents and they all berated me. I don't think I was obligated to buy them ice creams because I wasn't even getting paid. They said I'm a jerk and I'll never babysit again. Yay. Am I the jerk? They all literally said to OP they have no obligation other than just basically watching over them, and considering OP is 17 years old, expecting them to buy ice cream just out of charity for 7 kids in total? I don't think that's ever really going to happen. If they can't understand that that trip to the playground was OP and their sister with everybody else tagging along, and not OP taking grand care of all of the kids, then they're all the jerk. As easy as it is for all of them to team up together like some sinister 6 of uncles and aunts, and all equally come down on OP and how horrible OP is. At least OP doesn't have to worry about watching their kids anymore. They got an easy out if they ever ask again in the future. Our next story is from LessScreen9371. Am I the jerk for laughing after being told not to wear white to my own cousin's wedding? I, 19-year-old female, am South Asian, and in my culture, the groom's family wear the same color as the groom on his wedding days. We have multiple, and the same goes for the bride. My cousin, 24-year-old male, is getting married, and as he only has one brother, me and my 2 brothers are going to be matching with him since we were basically raised as siblings. He's wearing white and gold. His brother, father, and my brothers will all be wearing white suits, and I'll be wearing a white dress. My aunt's also wearing a white dress, but it's a different style to me. The bride and her family will be wearing red at this event, so I won't be similar to them. At work, I showed my friends my dress, and a coworker walked past, looking at the dress picture, and started the whole spiel about not wearing white to other people's weddings. I explained to her that the bride was wearing red. And even then, we can still wear the same color as the bride, and that it's different in my culture. But she called me cold-hearted and still insisted I would be taking the bride's spotlight. Trust me guys, even if a guest shows up in red like the bride, they wouldn't be able to match her unless they purposely spent hundreds on a bridal dress and jewels. I just laughed at her, but her and the other people who agree with her are saying I'm cold-hearted to laugh at someone who was trying to save me embarrassment at a wedding. Am I the jerk? I think OP's not the jerk here. The bottom line is it's a different culture and they just don't understand it. If anything, I think OP should just ignore it and let it go because they clearly just don't get it. I just hope OP enjoys the wedding. And our final story of the day is from Western Ad 3024. Am I the jerk for having our daughter cook dinner once a week? I, 35-year-old male, have a daughter, Rebecca, 15-year-old female. And I have to admit, both my wife and I worked a ton. So we have money, and since we were both busy with work, we hired a maid and a cook to come by twice a week. Well, a while ago, both of us realized Rebecca doesn't know how to do much. So we changed what Sarah, the maid, cleans. No more cleaning Rebecca's room or laundry. Rebecca wasn't happy about this, but she needed to learn how to clean up after herself before she went to college. Both of us then realized that Rebecca can't cook at all either. She only knows how to make sandwiches and heat food up. We really dropped the ball on this. So we decided to have her cook dinner once a week. It started 2 weeks ago, and so far all Rebecca made was spaghetti and tacos. Those are not difficult meals, so yesterday I gave Rebecca a recipe to follow, chicken parmesan. She was in the kitchen for 3 hours making it. I have to admit it wasn't the best, and I commented that. Rebecca got really quiet and said, well, maybe if you actually taught me crap instead of throwing me to the wolves each time, I could do stuff. She picked up her plate and threw the food away. I then grounded her and she went to her room. I called my sister and she laughed and said, I don't even know how to cook either, and that I'm the jerk for always throwing my kids head first. I agree wholeheartedly with OP's sister. OP is clearly the jerk here. I think it's great that they recognize they haven't taught their daughter enough life skills. But to try to expect them to learn it by just going, alright, sorry, we're cutting you off, you're just gonna have to figure it out, I think you're huge jerks for doing that. Now, if you went to them and said, hey, we're gonna have the maid help teach you how to clean up your room, or even try to do it yourselves, I know, crazy idea. And especially as far as cooking goes, working with them and teaching them how to make it, or just doing it with them, even if you're not necessarily teaching them the steps, it just gives them that comfort to figure it out. If there comes a time where Rebecca needs to learn how to drive, are they just going to get them a car and tell them, hey, drive around the street for a while and you'll figure it out? I sincerely hope not, and when you think about how illogical that is, hopefully they can understand why it applies equally to other situations like cleaning and cooking. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear another Am I the Jerk Here story that was crazier than any of the ones in this video, click on that left video. Or if you missed my latest video, click on the right. That said though, I'll see you all next time with some more stories.